I don't usually talk about this, not because it sounds unbelievable, but because I don't really know how to explain it without it sounding strange. It happened a few years ago in Colville National Forest. I was there alone, something I'd done before. Nothing extreme, a long hike, one night in a tent, back the next day. I picked a spot that was out of the way, but not too far off, near a dry creek bed with tall trees and soft ground. I set up the tent where there was still some light, ate something simple, and went to sleep early. I was tired, in that way that knocks you out fast. The first part of the night was normal. The forest has constant sounds, and once you're used to them, they fade into the background. A distant crack, branches shifting, a bit of wind, nothing unusual. I woke up without knowing why. It wasn't a loud noise, it was more like a feeling, the kind you get when something is too close and your body notices before your mind does. I stayed still, listening. Everything was quiet, not the kind of silence that feels empty, but a heavy one, like the forest had paused for a moment. I told myself it was nothing. I turned onto my side and closed my eyes. Then I felt a tug. Not violent, not sudden. It felt like someone had grabbed the tent from outside and pulled just enough to test it. The fabric stretched, then relaxed. I sat up right away. My heart started racing, but I tried not to move more than I had to. I stayed there, back straight, listening. Nothing. I told myself it was the wind, even though there was no wind. Or a small animal, even though it didn't feel small. A few seconds passed, maybe a minute, I'm not sure. The second pull was different. The tent slid a few inches across the ground. I felt it in my body, in the way the floor shifted under me. This one wasn't a test, it was an attempt. That's when I froze. I didn't yell, I didn't speak, I didn't think about getting out. I stayed completely still, my hands pressed against the tent floor, feeling the fabric tremble slightly, like something was still there outside, taking its time. I heard breathing. Not loud, not rushed. Slow, uneven. It wasn't right next to my head, but lower, off to one side, like whatever it was had leaned in. I tried to convince myself it was my own, but it didn't match my rhythm. The third pull lasted longer. The tent dragged a bit more. I felt one of the stakes give. The fabric warped, and for a moment I thought it was going to tip over. I don't know why I did what I did next. It wasn't bravery. I think it was pure fear. I slapped the side of the tent with my open hand, just once, hard, like saying, "I'm here." Everything stopped. The breathing cut off. The tension vanished at once, like someone letting go of a rope. The tent went still. I waited. I don't know how long. My legs hurt from being tense. The cold started to creep in. I didn't hear footsteps moving away. I didn't hear branches snapping. Nothing that said whatever it was had left. Little by little, the forest returned to its usual sounds, very slowly. I didn't sleep again that night. I sat there until morning, holding the flashlight, pointing it at the tent wall, waiting to see a shadow. When the sun came up, I checked everything. One stake was bent. The tent had been moved from where I'd set it. There were no clear tracks. The ground was disturbed, but in no way I could make sense of. I left without eating, without packing carefully. I just stuffed everything away and walked back. I never camped there alone again. Sometimes I think it was an animal, or the wind, or a mix of exhaustion and fear. But I still don't understand why something would try to drag a tent without making noise and without finishing the job. That time, I hadn't planned on staying. I went into the forest just because. I had the day off and needed to get out for a while. I grabbed the car, drove without thinking much, and ended up entering a part of Colville I barely knew. I parked wherever I could and kept walking. I walked farther than I meant to. I got distracted looking at the ground, the trees, little things. By the time I tried to turn back, it was getting dark. I didn't panic, but I realized I wasn't going to get out before nightfall, so I found a decent spot and decided to wait it out there. I sat against a big tree. The ground was cold but solid. I took out my flashlight, set it nearby, and stayed still. The forest sounded normal. Bugs, a branch moving here and there, nothing unusual. After a while, I started feeling something was off. It wasn't quiet, exactly. More like everything seemed to be coming from the same direction, like the rest of the place had paused. I lifted my head slowly. That's when I saw it. I don't know how long it had been standing there. Maybe it was always there and I just noticed. Between the trees, not too far away, standing, still, much taller than anyone should be in that spot. It didn't look like a person. It didn't move like an animal either. The body was broad, dark, arms hanging long. I couldn't see the face. Not because it was hidden, there was just nothing to make out. I froze. I didn't think to run. I didn't think to yell. I just stared, trying to make sense of it. It shifted slightly, just a little, like it was adjusting its weight. The ground made a low, heavy sound. That confirmed it wasn't a shadow or a tree. I felt like it knew I was there. It didn't come closer. It didn't back away. After a few seconds, it stepped to the side and disappeared between the trunks. Not fast, not slow. Normal, like it had no rush. I stayed sitting there for a long time. I don't know how long. I didn't look in that direction again. The night carried on like nothing had happened. When morning came, I got up and checked the area. Leaves pressed down, soil marked, but nothing clear, nothing that could prove anything. I left without thinking too much, walked until I got out of the forest, and didn't stop until I reached the car. I don't usually tell this, not because I think nobody would believe me, but because I still don't understand why it was standing there, watching me, like I was the one out of place. I had stopped later than I meant to that day. The trail was longer than the map suggested, and the sun was already low when I set up the tent. It wasn't a nice or comfortable camp, just a small clearing between trees, with damp leaves and soft ground. But I was tired and didn't feel like going any farther. I ate something quick and crawled into the tent. The forest was calm, with that steady background noise that doesn't bother you, like a distant hum. I fell asleep without thinking much about it. I woke up hours later without knowing why. There were no loud sounds, nothing specific, just that feeling of being watched. I stayed still, eyes open in the dark. I heard footsteps. Not fast, not clumsy. Heavy, slow steps, like something moving around the campsite without any hurry. They didn't come straight toward the tent. They circled, stopped, moved again. I tried to tell myself it was an elk or a bear, but the rhythm didn't fit. There were no snorts, no branches snapping hard, just the weight of something walking. Then the tent sank slightly on one side, like someone had leaned a hand or a body against the fabric. It wasn't a hit, it was pressure. Steady. I didn't move. The fabric pushed inward just a bit, like something was right on the other side. I could see a blurred shadow in the moonlight. No clear shape, just mass. Then the pressure eased. I heard it step back a few paces, not far, and then stop again. I don't know how long it went on like that. I breathed slowly, trying not to make a sound. My body ached from being tense. At some point, the silence grew heavier, like the whole forest was paying attention. Then I heard a different kind of movement, louder, like branches being pushed aside, not broken, just forced out of the way. I worked up the nerve and opened the tent zipper just a little, only a few inches. I looked outside. Moonlight filtered through the trees, and that's when I saw it. It was standing a short distance away, not too close, upright, still. It was tall, too tall to be a person. The shape was broad, dark, uneven. The arms hung long, lower than they should. It didn't move. I couldn't make out a face, just a large, motionless form facing the tent. I didn't feel panic right away. It was something stranger than that, a feeling of being out of place, like I wasn't supposed to be there, and it was. I closed the zipper slowly. I didn't hear it come closer. I didn't hear it leave. I stayed sitting there all night without looking outside again. When morning came, I went out. There were no clear tracks, just disturbed ground, shifted branches, crushed leaves. The place felt empty, normal, too normal. I left without looking back. I still don't know if what I saw was real, but I know that shape didn't move like an animal, and it didn't move like a person either.